Welcome to Offensive, where we're considering Joe Barry for our defensive coordinator. What do you think, guys?
I will murder him.
Green Bay needs it.
I will kill Joe Barry.
We have to start the show off on a positive note, guys, because the Packers defense turned back into the Joe Barry defense, which is a fantastic thing to see. And now they have to find a new D coordinator. They have Hafley's gone. He's gone to the old Finns to hook up with another former Packer front office guy. And everything's great. Everybody's just getting paid. LaFleur's getting paid. Like, there's nothing wrong with the Packers or needs improvement, Derek or Dave, right?
All right, we'll get into the LaFleur thing later once we actually know the details of the contract. But I will say this: I'm ecstatic that Hafley got a head coaching job. I'm glad he's gone, and I don't think he was a terrible defensive coordinator. But anyone who thinks he is a great defensive coordinator has not been watching the Packers games the last 2 years. And if you guys recall Joe Barry, who Doug just mentioned, if you actually look at a lot of the stats and a lot of the metrics for Joe Barry's last season in Green Bay without Micah Parsons and without some of these other guys that were drafted, they were better than the defense this year. That's how weak that's how weak Hafley was. And all you had to do was watch the Ravens game, watch the Broncos have their best offensive performance, and then watch the Bears score 24 points on us in the fourth quarter to know that Hafley is not a great defensive coordinator. So I'm ecstatic because I want some fresh blood. I need somebody new in there. And, you know, the Dolphins, good for you guys. I think Hafley might be one of those guys that's a better coach than he is a play caller. And he might be like more of a, like,
that's 100% true.
Yeah. Like, he might have the smarts to hire the right guys and run the organization and not be the play caller. But as the defensive play caller, I was not impressed at all with Hafley.
I think he has a perfect personality for a head coach. He's like funny. He talks to the press and everybody like they're actually like a real person. And like people really like Hafley a lot. That's why he got the job.
Yeah.
And if you're around him all the time, you're like, this guy has got head coach just.
Yeah, it's just got so much. When they asked Micah about that, he said, "No, Hafley ain't going nowhere." Like Micah, right away, he absolutely dug Hafley, and he said that the thing with Hafley is he'd set a goal for the defensive end groups, and then he set a goal for McKinley, and with every different group, he set different goals, and even within that subgroup, he set a different goal for McKinley than he did for the other safety, just because he knew every player is different, so he was able to get down to that detail. He's like, you matter and whatnot. So he was able to bond with his players. So I think that part's going to be huge, which is kind of what Tomlin was able to do in Pittsburgh, which I think that's a big feather in his cap. I
think he's white Mike Tomlin. That's who he is.
Yeah. And no, I wish him the best of luck, but I got to be honest, I'm glad he's gone because there's no chance LaFleur is getting rid of him. Right. And I think bringing in some new blood for this defense with the guys that we have and maybe switching stuff up could be good long-term. It could be really good long-term. And there's some good candidates out there for defensive coordinator, especially considering all these coach firings. There's a bunch of established D coordinators that were not good head coaches, but we know are good D coordinators, right? So let's jump into it. Let's add our first round here of defensive coordinators. Add the stage. There it is. Nope, come on.
Rusty at all?
I know.
I know. I'm off to Disneyland or something.
I know.
Green Bay lost my mouth, bitches. I'm going to Disneyland.
Watch your mouth. My toys I get from Disney. But anyway, so there's a bunch of guys that have been head coaches before, and there's a couple that really stood out to me. So the first guy that stood out was actually Raheem Morris. Now, he was defensive coordinator for the Rams, as you guys know. He's also been the coach of the Bucs and the Falcons, both of which were pretty bad. Though, to be fair, this Falcons defense, which was one of the worst in the NFL, improved greatly under Raheem Morris. And they actually set their all-time record for sacks this year, and they were top 5 in pressure rate. Now, they drafted 2 guys that obviously made a big difference, but scheme, play calling, all that stuff, I thought the Falcons defense was massively improved. And it was actually better than the Packers defense this year. Again, if you look at a lot of the metrics.
They crushed who did they crush? The Rams at the end of the season? Yeah.
Yeah. They had a great game in that game.
Just dominated them.
The Rams have been really weird the last 4 or 5 weeks. Like, we'll get into it more, Dave, when we do your Bear video, but the Rams are not good in that game against the Bears, but they ended up pulling it out. Regardless, Raheem Morris is my number one candidate. He's actually my number one candidate because I loved what he did in St. Louis. I like how aggressive he is off the edges, and he doesn't blitz a lot, but he'll blitz safeties and cornerbacks I'm sorry, in Los Angeles, the Rams. When
I got to check my watch to see what year it is.
It is the year of the horse, Dave. So eat shit. But
well, I was going to say more of the donkey from the sounds of it.
Yeah, fair enough. But he's actually less aggressive. If you actually look at his metrics, he's a little bit less aggressive than Hafley. But if you actually look at his percentage of his blitzes that get home, it's astronomically higher than Hafley because he knows when to blitz. He is a seasoned defensive coordinator. He's been in the league a long time. And I think because he's a head coach, I think LaFleur needs somebody to challenge him. LaFleur too often just hires his friends that are from lower positions, like Joe Barry, perfect example, right? Even Hafley, who came from Boston College, like, I think LaFleur needs somebody to challenge him, and I think Raheem Morris has the stones to do it, and I would love Raheem Morris as a hire.
And
how do you feel about him?
He's a DB coach before he was a defensive coordinator. And in my head, I was thinking that, like, we need a guy that was like a defensive line coach as a defense coordinator so we can get some quality there. But he might be able to get this DB room to actually start getting picks and playing better. That's this thing is that I don't know I can't remember who the DB coach is now, but man, they dropped off this last year big time for like turnovers. And the cornerback room is just a mess. It's just weird and bizarre. I don't understand why neither cornerback wants to tackle anybody at the end of the year, like when it actually matters. Like there's just something weird happening, and I just don't like it.
Well, so Morris's system is more of a cover two guys, which we played a lot of, by the way, under Hafley. So it wouldn't be a massive change, but Raheem likes big, mean corners, right? And so we need two new corners. So depending on who we bring in as a D coordinator, I think that's going to determine a lot what we look for in corners as far as drafting and free agents, right? So Raheem likes bigger guys that tackle, Doug, that can blitz and that get in people's face because he likes to play them closer. Even though they're playing a drop two zone, he plays them a lot closer to the line than Hafley would.
That's how Hobbs normally plays. Maybe he can actually be decent if he plays.
I think Hobbs would work really well in his system because he's a great tackler. Even Bullard, to a sense, if they're playing nickel.
Hobbs and Bullard are kind of similar. Hobbs is just like a guy that can tackle. He's not the best coverage guy.
Yeah. So Raheem's my number one candidate just because he's got the pedigree and the history of being an excellent defensive coordinator. Now, my heart candidate is the guy way over there on the end, Mr. Jim Leonard. I would love Jim Leonard so much. Even if we were the 30th ranked defense next year, I would never talk shit about Jim Leonard. That's how much I love him. So maybe it's not a good thing. But Jim Leonard is, dude, he is, again, another defensive backs guy, but a guy that blitzes like crazy.
And he's a tackling defensive back. He's not a little B.
Yeah, and has had success every single place he's been. His defense has been fantastic everywhere he's been. Everyone knows LaFleur offered him the job back in 2021, and he decided to stay in Madison, which I still love.
We have to assume that they're going to call him at least if they already had won him in the past.
I think you have to at least interview him, and I think there's a good chance they do. I think Jim Leonard would be I think it would be an emotional boost for Packer fans just being Wisconsinites, right? And again, I think Jim Leonard is going to be very successful as a defensive coordinator.
He plays football the right way. His defenses play the correct traditional football. You hit people, you intimidate them. You are not scared of anything. And I mean, he had so many top 10 defenses at UW. Like it was like almost a given.
Jim Leonard's defense is what Hafley wishes his defense was. Hafley's defense plays downhill and stops explosive plays. Jim Leonard's defense makes plays downhill, behind the line of scrimmage, attack. And I would love Jim Leonard. So he's my number 2 candidate.
Would Green Bay have to switch back to a 3-4 then, though?
No, Jim can play a 4-3, no problem. I mean, that's what they're doing in Denver, Dave, right now. And I know he's not their DC, but a lot of his traditional defenses, go ahead.
Oh, the only reason I ask is a lot of the guys that he had at Wisconsin that got drafted are successful over in Pittsburgh.
They are. And
so which is more the 3-4 archetype. What's that?
Vaughn, guys, he likes linebackers that can blitz. And guess what, dude? Micah Parsons is basically a linebacker that can play defensive line. Like, so you can play with that system, Dave. It would still be a 4-3, but kind of like Hafley did, you're playing Micah on one side, and I feel like we're not going to re-sign Quay. So if we did hire Jim Leonard, I could almost guarantee you we go out and get some veteran outside linebacker that's a good pass rusher, right? That even if he puts in situationally, because Jim Leonard loves bringing linebackers off the edge.
Von Miller, baby. Make it happen.
Hey, why not? If we can get him for $2 million.
Dude,
that's about all
this
I
is the thing,
him.
guys. Jim Leonard is also the assistant head coach of the Broncos. I have a feeling he could get the Steelers job.
That's out there. I don't know if he's going to go from not defensive coordinator to head coach though.
Yeah,
I feel like that's
probably not. But didn't Harbaugh do that? Harbaugh went from DB coach to head coach.
I don't know, dude. I think wasn't Harbaugh an interim though for a minute? Like, I don't know. We're gonna have to look that up. But either way,
I'll look it up right now. But he did go from really fast.
I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility that he gets a look at head coach, but I think he would have to be a full-on defensive coordinator.
Yeah, he went from special teams coordinator to DB coach to head coach.
Yeah. So it's
possible. Maybe the fact that he was the defensive coordinator at Wisconsin, maybe that would help to push it a little bit, just because you see what happened to them after he left.
And he was the head coach too at Wisconsin for a little while. So like, you know.
Dude, it wasn't even an interim thing. They just straight up hired John Harbaugh as a DB coach to be the head coach.
Fair enough. And well, that worked out well. But I don't know. I don't know if he's going to get a head coach job. I definitely think he should get a defensive coordinator job.
Probably will get it. It'd probably be more of a DC thing. But I'm just saying, I think you guys all agree on this. Jim Leonard is one of our favorite coaches ever, and we wanted him to get the UW job so bad. Like,
we all wanted
the thing that makes the most sense ever in the history of the planet.
Yeah. We're all Badgers guys, in case you haven't noticed.
And that did not happen, and we're still pissed. So
I think Jim Leonard is my favorite Badger of all time. I'm not even joking.
The walk on and walk on and being a badass almost right away.
He had to struggle in NFL. He had all these jobs in the NFL. He had to scratch to be a starter in the NFL. When he played,
when Rex Ryan got the head coaching job after being the D coordinator at Baltimore, he's like, "This is a guy who I need to bring to teach the rest of the defense how to play."
Dude,
so that was the first guy that he brought with him to the Jets for a reason.
Dude, and he's good in the NFL.
High school kids dream. He's too small. He's too slow,
like 5'8".
And he was phenomenal. He has the all-time interception record at Wisconsin. He was a Pro Bowler, a two-time All-Pro in the NFL. He's a successful defensive coordinator. He's going to be a successful head coach somewhere. I love Jim Leonard. I think, he's probably my favorite Badger of all time.
Now, as a Bears fan, when I look at just at this screen right now, Jonathan Gannon's my guy.
Okay.
Because he helped the Eagles get to the Super Bowl with Howie's defense and Howie set the table for him. So all of a sudden, like, oh, Jonathan Gannon, you're great. Bring him out to Arizona so that way he can solidify their defense. Their defense never really got solidified in the entire time that he was there. If you're a defensive guy, your defense should be getting better. So the fact that he wasn't able to, they drafted some pieces, but they still had a lot of holes, and he never really developed anything out there. He never really seemed to even bond with any of his players.
Yeah.
Just from what you see. So as a Bears fan, I want Jonathan Gannon in Green Bay.
Dave, so I thought about that too, but all right, name me one player on the Arizona's defensive line.
Calais Campbell.
Okay, that's true, but he's 59 years old. So like,
he's still rocking. They've tried drafting guys, but none of them ever really worked out.
They did. And again, that's partially on the GM, and I don't think he did a great job as a head coach there. But dude, remember those Cardinals teams, they are deficient of talent and they played hard. They were in so many games. So I don't think it's necessarily that he's a bad coach. I think it's that he might be better as a D coordinator, and there is an absolute deficiency of talent in the front seven of that Cardinals defense. It's maybe the worst in the NFL, just to be honest. So like, I don't know what else he could have done. Not saying he did a great job, but I'm just saying, I guarantee you he gets a D coordinator job this cycle. Someone is going to hire him. And I think he's pretty good. But there's other guys, Dave, that are even maybe better.
No. You're not stealing nothing. No, you ain't poaching.
He's
staying right where he's at, baby.
Okay, he's a Packer, going to be a Packer Hall of Famer. He does not belong to you. Muscle Snoop, i.e. Al Harris, is probably in line to get a defensive coordinator job as well this offseason. He absolutely deserves it. The Packers should 100% give him a look.
Wouldn't his nickname be the Dogfather? Would people
that's not a bad one. I
like the Gravedigger. He can be the Dogfather.
Yeah, that's true. I like Muscle Snoop better, but either way, it's all good nicknames. Al Harris is a beast, dude. I love the guy. He's a classic, very aggressive cornerback. Dude, there is an absolute correlation with the crazy amount of interceptions those Cowboys teams got and the crazy amount of interceptions this Bears team gets and what Al Harris is doing. He is very instinctual, very smart. He absolutely deserves a defensive coordinator job. And to steal him from the Bears would also be nice. Plus, he's a Packer, so, bring him back. But I love Al Harris. We'll see what happens, but I hope he gets an interview with us, and I definitely think he's getting a job. So he's up there in my top top four as well. I put him in the second one, Dave, just so we could focus on that and you could get Sam.
Yeah.
So
like you said, he needs to get a D coordinator gig somewhere.
He does. He definitely deserves it. Another guy I think that's going to get a D coordinator job is McDermott. Now he's kind of flamed out in Buffalo, but again, I think he should have been fired 2 years ago. My personal opinion. I think they held on to him a little too long. But his players like him, he's had some really good defenses in Buffalo, not necessarily this year, but they got better. I think he's definitely worth a look. He's a very smart guy. Again, another head coach that's got some pedigree that could maybe challenge LaFleur, that could bring some new ideas to the table, that needs to prove himself after these failures in Buffalo, that could be worth a look. Hype, what do you think about McDermott? Let's say LaFleur hired McDermott. Would you be excited? Would you be meh?
I don't know, man. I don't think I'd be excited about that, but maybe if I learned more stuff, it would be, because he didn't do a whole lot with that Bills defense, and when they didn't have like some of their guys on defense, they couldn't stop anybody.
This year, but if you look at the last 6 years, Doug, the Bills have had a top 10 defense almost every single year. Almost every single year. Has he been
their D coordinator that whole time?
No, he's been their coach that whole time.
Yeah, their head coach for the last 9 years.
Yes, Sean McDermott's been their coach for a long time.
You pay no attention to the AFC, do you?
Dude, I know.
I just get confused because the other guy that was radio.
No, McDermott is a very good defensive coach. I think he needed to be out of Buffalo 2 years ago just because of I think Buffalo needed to switch it up. Not necessarily that he's terrible, but they were loyal to him because he's a smart guy. He's a good guy. I definitely think he's getting a coaching job in this cycle as a D coordinator. I think Titans, just throwing this out there. Now, we talked about the Titans maybe taking a younger guy before. I think the Titans giving him a look might not be a bad idea. But again, being a defensive guy, having a young quarterback, maybe that's not the right way to go. But he would definitely stabilize, I think, their franchise, because I think he is good enough to do that. So
there's so many coaching openings out there where I see if he wanted to, get one of the lower tier like Arizona.
Maybe
again,
Cleveland.
Bottom of the barrel. But yeah, I think he's going to get a head coaching gig somewhere. But I really think it'd be smart if he did the Dennis Allen and he's like, screw it, I'm just going to focus on defense this year.
Yeah.
And, just focus on that side of the ball. Because Dennis Allen, Sean McVay, after the game, he did the handshake, to Ben Johnson. But then he went up to Dennis Allen and he said, "You kicked our ass. Way to go."
Nice.
So he acknowledged Dennis Allen did a great job. And I think Sean McDermott, he can do the same thing, where he just puts all of his focus on there, not have to worry about the noise of the offense. Let that be Matt LaFleur's thing. I think that would be fantastic for Green Bay. I would absolutely hate it.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's a good sign that Dave would hate it. Now, so here's another guy that you guys might not be aware of. So DeMarcus Covington, he was a D coordinator before. The Packers brought him in as the D-line coach, and he's also part of the run game coordinator. He's highly respected in the locker room, and a lot of people think LaFleur's going to give him an interview. Now, I think this guy's really good. I actually do like him, but I do not want anyone internal. I think the defense needs new mojo, and as much as I respect DeMarcus Covington and hope he gets a job as a DC somewhere, I need this to be external. And I need this to not be one of Matt LaFleur's guys. I think I need this to be somebody that's going to challenge Matt and bring a little bit more oomph to that team. So, but I threw DeMarcus in there because I think he is a good candidate for a D coordinator job. I just don't think the Packers should upgrade him to the D coordinator. I need somebody from the outside. That's just my personal opinion. So what do you guys think? Doug, if in a perfect world, out of these 6 candidates, Al Harris, Sean McDermott, DeMarcus Cousins, Raheem Morris, Jonathan Gannon, and Jim Leonard, who would be the person that you would want the most?
1,000%, way more than everyone else, Jim Leonard. The reason is, if you want a real defense that's tough, you need the defensive front 7 to play like a dominant team, and they're going to hit you in the teeth and not just make those plays, but actually make smart plays too, and just play amazing overall championship level football. Jim Leonard embodies that, and that's why people like him so much. Yeah. I don't know if these other coaches, I want my linebackers like the Eagles last year, where they're just doing everything right, hitting people, not letting people push them around. That's what I want, and that's what Jim Leonard embodies. And you know that because when TJ Watt and these linebackers come out of Wisconsin, they are amazing linebackers. They play amazing in the NFL. The Eagles had some, there's a bunch of great Badger linebackers in the NFL, and all of them that are here are really good. And that's the tradition that Jim Leonard really, really instilled even harder in Wisconsin than it was there before.
Yeah.
And with TJ Watt specifically, I think he coached. And yeah, I want Jim Leonard. That's it. End of story.
I understand. I feel the same way, but I almost don't want to get my hopes up because it would be such a feel-good story. It would almost make the whole season worth it if we got Jim Leonard. I'd be so happy. If I don't want to get my hopes up and have them come crushing down, which is why I think Raheem would also be really good for me. So, Dave, who would you want to see the least as a Bear fan the Packers hire out of these 6 guys?
Who do I want to see the least? Honestly, I'd go with Al Harris, because that means we lost him to you assholes.
Yeah.
Pardon my French. But yeah, outside of that, I think Raheem Morris.
Yeah.
Just because, Atlanta, that the DBs, they're pretty solid out there. He was able to get some pressures and whatnot.
Yep.
Schematically, he knows what he's doing pretty well. I think he'd be a really smart hire. Just because the only reason I don't say McDermott is I don't think he's going to be a D coordinator in Green Bay. But yeah, that would be a worst case scenario is him. I really think it's him. But yeah, realistically, I think you got a shot at Raheem Morris, maybe.
I think so. And hopefully Jim Leonard, but we'll see. But that's it, guys. Those are our top 6 candidates for the Packers defensive coordinator position. As you know, today, Hafley is going to the Miami Dolphins, so they're definitely going to start hiring somebody. So, Maddie, do it right. You don't need a friend necessarily. You need someone to challenge you and someone to go out and kick some ass. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.